Hello and welcome to this BuyBotPro video. So today I thought I would go over what a bad buy would look like and what to look out for in BuyBotPro to know when you're not going to go ahead with a particular item. So I thought this would be a really useful video to go over. So there's lots of different factors to observe when you're doing a deal analysis, and of course BuyBotPro is going to help you find items that are going to work out for your business, but on the flip side it's also going to help you find items that aren't going to work out for your business. And so without having a deal analyzer, this would be a bit of a harder task to do, and of course this is what BuyBotPro is all about, helping you find good deals and helping you root out the bad ones, that way you don't fall into the trap of buying such an item and potentially selling for a loss or ending up stuck with stock, which is not what we want. So initially you'd enter in your buy price, sell price, click on analyze, and then obviously BuyBotPro is going to show you all of the results. So we've got the buy price of $6.99, sell price of $12.99, which is the current buy box price, and already on BuyBotPro Island we can see that it is not good news for this item. But let's break it down and see why exactly this item is a bad deal and one that we wouldn't be interested in going ahead with. Of course, an item might be a bad deal initially when you analyze it, but the great thing about Amazon is that things change constantly. So what might have been a bad deal, say a year ago, may change into a good deal. Things go on sale, popularity changes. So just because you analyze a bad deal now does not mean that this deal is going to remain consistently bad for the rest of time. Things can change. So let's break it down and have a look at the different sections of BuyBotPro. So BuyBotPro Island kind of gives quite a lot of what we're going to talk about away right now, but we're going to look at it in the main panel. So initially we have the dashboard right here, whereby we can see the eligibility and dangerous goods. So obviously if you saw a red circle on any of these, when we probably wouldn't want to go ahead with it. So for example, if we got red on the eligibility, we aren't eligible to sell. We need to get engaged in that particular category. Can we sell dangerous goods? Are we part of the dangerous goods program? If not, then if it was a dangerous good, we'd have to, just not go ahead with it. Or we might have to consider fulfilling it ourselves. It's just important information to be aware of. However, if we are strictly FBA, then it might not be an option if we aren't enrolled in the dangerous goods program. Where you get orange like this basically just means that more due diligence is required to basically ensure that you are okay to sell this. So basically we need to perform our own checks to understand if we can actually go ahead and sell this. Quite often when you see orange as well, this is also because some of these things aren't quite clear within Amazon itself, so therefore obviously it's going to show up as orange on BuyBotPro. Now in the alerts, if we saw that the IP radar was showing red, there is a PL issue, so therefore we definitely can't sell that, because if we try and sell an item that has an IP issue, if the brand is not allowing third-party sellers to resell the item, then we would get into trouble if we tried to do it, and that can lead to things like account suspension. Obviously we want to avoid that at all costs. Obviously if we go ahead and check out the details, we can see there that we've got a negative profit margin, negative ROI, negative profit. So these are some of the basic things to help you understand if the product is a bad buy. We don't want to buy something and then sell it at a loss. That's just not viable at all. And so obviously here we can see that the buy price $6.99, so it's nearly half the price of the sell price. We can see that the total cost, we can see what they amount to here. So all of those Amazon fees, shipping costs there as well. So our break even comes to this number right here. So our break even is above the price that we're selling it for, therefore we are going to make a negative ROI, a negative profit. So with numbers like that, we want to avoid it. But let's take a look at some of the other things as well. So let's go ahead and open up the buy box statistics to help us understand our chances of selling, even if we were to go ahead with this particular item. So this item doesn't have Amazon on it. If you do see Amazon on a particular listing, it might be a red flag in your head, particularly if they are maintaining a hold over the buy box and they're consistently keeping it to themselves. So for items like that, you might want to send it to a Google Sheet to reanalyze it at a later date, or you might decide that you don't want to go ahead with it. Or if you are feeling up to the challenge of competing with Amazon, and you have a repricer behind you, for example, which can help you, particularly if you're using an aggressive strategy on Profit Protector Pro, that stands the best chance at competing with Amazon. But checking the buy box statistics is a good way of understanding your chances of making sales of this particular item, how much of a chance you stand at winning the buy box. And I've chosen an item that doesn't have Amazon on it to sort of show you what to look out for when Amazon aren't on the listing in terms of this section here. So we can see that this particular seller here has won the buy box 90% of the time. They won it just now, so they've had it for the last 4 days, because the only other seller on this listing won it 4 days ago, and they've had it 10% of the time. They are both FBA sellers, but obviously for some reason this particular seller has maintained an effective hold over the buy box. It could be that they're using a repricer. The amount of reviews that they've had and the positive feedback percentage is higher than this seller here. It's probably as well that they've got more stock. So let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, so sorry, it's the other seller that happens to have more stock at this point in time. But obviously this seller here is offering the cheaper price for this item. We can see the delivery dates as well, so it helps you understand how soon that seller is going to deliver that item, because delivery is taken into account when it comes to sort of like buy box eligibility and your chances of winning it. So this seller here is offering the better price. They are FBA. They've had more reviews, more positive feedback, so this is probably why they've had more of a hold of the buy box. And then we don't know, they possibly have a repricer in use as well, but that's what to look out for here. So do we want to go up against the seller? If we set a competitive price, we've got a repricer behind us, we also have some good reviews and some good positive feedback as well. Maybe we stand a chance at changing the tide on this particular listing. But obviously with everything else, we wouldn't want to. But if that happens to be the only factor that you were scratching your head over, then it's subjective, really. It's down to you if you want to join this listing to see if you can shake things up and win the buy box for yourself. The next thing we want to take a look at is the net buy box price changes, but obviously on here there's been 0 in the last 30 days, so there's not been any ups or downs with the buy box price, so it has not changed in the last 30 days. If the listing showed more downs than it did ups, then this shows that there is a gradual price movement on the listing going downwards. Could mean that lots of people are tanking the listing. It could mean that the price of that particular listing is naturally moving down. So that'd be something to look out for. Obviously on this particular listing it hasn't changed at all, but then an important thing to check is the confidence score. So this is what BuyBotPro thinks of the product, and it tells you what it is thinking as well. So the ROI is way too low, it's got low profit, but the recent 30-day estimated sales have been great. So in terms of sales, this item has been selling, but obviously this does not meet our confidence score criteria, which you can set in this section of BuyBotPro. So our minimum profit is £1, our minimum ROI is 30%, and we want it to be in the top 10% of this item's BSR category. So we can see that we can see that obviously this does not meet our criteria. It doesn't meet the ROI and the profit. We don't even know if we're eligible yet to even sell it. So all these factors are getting taken into account here when it gives us the confidence score. And it's not even going to suggest a purchase quantity because it doesn't meet our criteria. BuyBotPro is not too sure about this product at all. So the artificial intelligence thinks to give it a miss. Let's take a look at the estimated sales. So the current sales, 25 over the last 30 days. We can see that there has been a little bit of an increase in the monthly sales from August onwards, July, August onwards. But this isn't enough to go on really to then join this listing. I mean, regardless of the fact that we are making a loss, and it is predicted to sell a little bit better than it has done in the past, but not majorly. And we can see on this chart as well that the BSR has gotten better, but the movement on the lines has slowed down. The lines, there's not lots happening with the lines. Of course there is movement, and for every bit of movement that means there's been at least one sale. Could be more than one, but at least one. But judging by this, just from an assumption based on what we can see here, the lack of movement, I would say that there's not many sales. The sales heat map does reflect, especially in recent times, that sales have picked up. But based on everything else that we are seeing as well, it's just not an item that we want to go ahead with. And we can take a look at the averages as well. So we can see that there isn't really much consistency with the FBA price. It has gradually moved up, as with the buy box. It's moved down as with the buy box price. So we can see that the average kind of pricing for this time period was a lot higher, and now it's moved down. So we can make the assumption that it's also going to move down. We can see as well that whilst the BSR has gotten better, it's also gotten cheaper. So these two things correlate, and so those are just some of the things that I would advise to look at on an item that does flash up with a red confidence score, just to do your own due diligence, to check through BuyBotPro to basically ensure that you want to skip this deal. Of course, you might have just seen this right here and decided, no, I'm not going to do that because it's a loss, which is completely understandable. That is the thing to do. But then if you wanted to understand a bit more as to why, those are some of the other things that you can look at in BuyBotPro to understand why this would not be an item to go ahead with. But as I say, not all hope is lost. Things can change. Of course, you can judge that from the charts. Maybe it had a period where it did really well and it's gone down again, so maybe it is a seasonal item, so you need to look to sell it in a particular season. It might be something that you happen to come across in a year's time and it's doing a lot better, so things can change on Amazon. But hopefully this video was helpful and gave you lots of useful information and things to look out for when you come across a deal that just doesn't look that great. This is an example of a bad purchase. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you soon.